All right. Welcome to the latest edition of the FPL America podcast. Is that what we are?
You got it.
This is Brian Shesko,
Travis Hoig.
David Smith, absent yet
Teacher.
again for another riveting night of FPL talk. We are recording really late in the week,
We are.
saving it to the last possible second. Largely because of Dave's absence. We'll blame it on that. I'll just blame everything that went wrong on
It's
Dave.
really just girls basketball's fault.
True. No girls basketball stories. I have lots of other stories I could tell you that could take up extra time, but I'm not going to do that. But I will
It's not
tell
who we
you,
are.
yeah, I will tell you that game week 30 is almost here in the Fantasy Premier League. If you have, you've probably already made your moves. You've probably already done whatever it is you're going to do, but we're going to still sit here and talk about it anyway because I think it's mostly for the sake of I'd like to know if what I'm thinking going into this week is actually going to pan out for next week. So, Travis, we only have a few things to talk about,
Nothing crazy.
but let's go straight to it. Let's get straight into it.
Let's do it. Let's go to bed. Let's get this thing published and go to bed.
That is the one thing that is part of this podcast that you can say for personal life. You have to leave so early.
I mean, it's early enough.
Early enough for a Saturday that it's not
Yeah.
a fun thing to do with your Saturday morning.
I came really close to just saying, Brian, let's just skip this week. David would skip.
That's true.
And Brian was committed, and he did the right thing. So here I am. Instead of sleeping and preparing for my drive,
Yes.
I'm here with Brian.
Well, let's just say, since it's been a minute since there's anything that happened other than the Champions League and the FA Cup, it's been 10 days since 11 days since what is the last time we recorded?
It was a while ago. We recorded early too.
March
so
2nd was the last time I have on my calendar here, so that's 11 days according to my math. There were a few things I wanted to say about being smart and stupid from the last
hear
time
it.
we did this. One, I hope our last time that we recorded that I did not say things that suggested that I'm stopping you from buying an Everton player. I was very much not on board with the idea of bringing in Everton on the grounds that Burnley was the, as I said wrongly, probably the stupidest thing I said was that they were an oasis in an ocean of bad, or in a sea of bad. So a bad
so
fixture.
poetic.
But that's wrong. An oasis would be in the desert.
Yes.
So it's a mixed metaphor. So
You're the king of metaphors. Mixed metaphors are fine.
it was bad.
I like them.
And also it was stupid because Everton did end up, in fact, crushing Burnley. I think every single player on their team returned something. Or any of the players, like all the players that mattered ended up
Dewsbury
getting
Hall,
points.
Garner.
Right.
Yeah.
And, of course, the defense because it ended up being a clean sheet.
Tarkowski.
I just wanted to be clear. I never said that they would be bad against Burnley. It was just that it's Burnley surrounded by horrible fixtures on either side. If you had been there, you were sad. You get this amazing return from Burnley, and now you're headed into another set of bad fixtures. And to prove that, I would just say, if they're so good, then why aren't they one of the top transfers in at any level this week? And it's because they're about to go on yet another bad run of fixtures.
Give it to you.
Anyway, it was I'll just call that a neutral because I was not actively dissuading you from getting them if you were just getting them for Burnley. But I think it was just on the long-term planning. Whatever. Holland in or Holland out has dominated so much of the discussion on almost any. It's been like this for a while. I'm sure there are some people out there that have made this decision, like Dave a long time ago. Holland in, Holland out was it was a wash if you used your transfer on Hugo Ekitike, who ended up returning nothing in yet again another great matchup for Liverpool that ended up taking you to the last minute to seal the victory. Isn't that what happened? Was it 1-0? 2-0?
Did you watch? You did not watch.
No, I did not.
Okay. They lost that match.
Oh, that's
2-1.
Oh, that's right. They ended up
in
losing
extra time. So Andre scored a winner.
I was so I get to be even extra stupid. It's been so long that I feel like I don't remember
It's been a while.
what happened. 2-1
fine.
Wolves.
We played them right after that. We destroyed them. It wasn't. It wasn't.
What really made me nervous now because yes, I started to think like, oh no, Gomez scored.
He's never
for
scored.
Wolves, but it
Gomez,
was Rodrigo Gomez.
There were
not
multiple
the midfielder
Gomezes.
Gomez who had gone for a 14 2 weeks ago. Yeah. So
lots of Buenos, lots of Gomezes on the pitch.
Yeah, man, that's a really
weird.
rough one. But either way, the points did not come. The one goal did not come from Hugo Ekitike. It did come from Mo Salah, who you probably have to talk about whenever we get further into the podcast. So we're back to where it was before, Holland in, Holland out, which we can say more about that in a minute. But basically, the only way it worked for you is if you made your transfer Joao Pedro.
Yeah, for real.
I think that was the
Which
only...
we did talk about that maybe not being a great option. So from a smart, stupid standpoint, I don't know that we poo-pooed it too much, but we certainly didn't expect what happened.
Yeah, for sure.
Who did?
Apparently, at least a few people did. Yeah, at least one person in the podcast league did, who captained Joao Pedro. So if you did that, you were playing at a different level than I am, and I would maybe just lump us in there. Then we are. Good for you if you did that. My favorite thing by far, easily the stupidest thing and this is the end of this bit, just that by far the best thing that I did this season is having Jurrien Timber for those few weeks where he did less than nothing, looked way off it, happy to sell. After triple captaining him and him returning nothing, selling him for Virgil van Dijk, who then at that exact moment is when he decides to start performing again. Absolutely crushing the last two game weeks after returning.
It's rough.
Nothing. Well, I guess he did get that assist against Spurs in the North London derby, but still. 13 and an 8 in the last 2 weeks for Jurrien Timber, which is just perfect. Absolutely perfect. Replacing it with Virgil's 9 total points, I think, in the last
something
3
useless
games. But anyway, perfect encapsulation of FPL and everything that can happen there. I'm sure there were other things that were smart and or stupid, but I couldn't remember any of them.
I mean,
because
Virgil does have like 19 points in the last three matches. Just saying. So I don't think you traded it for nothing. But
he did
Timber
have
was good.
the week that I got him. So it was 2 weeks ago. So I traded Virgil's, or it was at that point Timber's 8 for Virgil's 7, and then this
Virgil
week
got a 1.
Virgil's 1 versus
Timber got 13.
Timber's 13.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, real dumb.
It was fine. It wasn't great, but it was fine.
Mostly dumb. 2 weeks in neutral. Travis, I think what you mean by that is the next 2 weeks. Does anything matter before this blank game week?
I don't know. Not much. There's not a lot of matchups that are going to do anything for the table. There's not a lot of options for trying to get ahead. We were talking pre-pod, and I think you kind of keyed in on Manchester City potentially being, if you're loaded up on City, you might be okay. If you're, still holding Burnley assets, you might be okay. I mean, there's some guys that are fine, but for the most part, it's just kind of a, prep for the blank game week, right?
Yeah, this game week. Game week 30 obviously is. I think it's just dominated by a few matchups, and then blank game week 31. I'm saying I think that you probably have your strategy or should have probably already figured this out. You can look at your team right now and you can see exactly how many Manchester City, Arsenal, Palace, and Wolves players you have, because those are the blank game week teams in game week 31. As it stands for me right now, moving on from Timber to Virgil was a bit long-term strategic, kills me in the short term, but it now allows me to not have to worry about, like, I'll have 3 total players from City, Arsenal, Wolves, and Crystal Palace. So Gabriel, Semenyo, and Haaland. So many people have moved on from Haaland to someone else. So anyone who's done that is not even worried about this. I would say right now, I cannot imagine what would make you free hit game week 31. I hope that you are not in a position where you have to free hit that week. It seems like a terrible, terrible week to have to do that, taking Arsenal and Manchester City completely out of the lineup.
Yeah, there's not a lot of matchups that you would want to target in a free hit. So if you did end up in that situation, I hear what you're saying.
If you, I know a lot of people, I've seen this too. If you can roll your transfer this week, if you've already planned to do that, I mean, good on you. If you have, I did not. I needed to get a transfer in before I lost yet another 10th on Morgan Rogers.
Yeah.
Going into game week 30. So I've already made a move. I wish I didn't have to, because I do have a more pressing need. Patrick Dorgu still at the end of my bench right now. But otherwise, one player, barring an injury, I am one player away from just being able to bench the 3, like the City and Arsenal people. So my bench next week should be Gabriel, Haaland, Semenyo, and just all I can hope is, please nobody else of the rest of my team get injured. That would be ideal.
Yeah, that would really throw you for a loop, especially given the fact that you've been putting out small fires for the last couple weeks rather than prepping completely.
And that's part of our, kind of leading in here to the overall strategy of the next few weeks. Game week 31 is its own. You probably should already have some sort of plan in place for, depending on what number. I'm assuming based on percentages, Semenyo at 57%. I'm guessing effective ownership in the top of active players is functionally 100%. Gabriel is probably functionally at about 100% ownership too. So at least 2 of your spots are taken up by Gabriel and Semenyo, unless you are an absolute wild maverick. I am not that bold to go without either of those 2 guys, and I have not yet found the courage to get rid of Erling Haaland from my team. Now, what we know for sure, and again, this is can only ever thank Ben Crellin. Probably the FPL world owes him permanent. They should just give him, I don't know, some sort of like honorary award.
Nobel Prize.
For the amount. Yeah, is that something you can have?
The Nobel Prize in Premier League.
For whatever is the equivalent for FPL. But just the work that he's done in predicting what the blanks and doubles will look like as the other competitions roll on. And so the calendar as it stands right now, yes, there is a slight chance of a double in game week 32, but unlikely. Wildly low percentage. No higher than 15% chance, which at this point for FPL is basically zero. Game week 33, right now, the likeliest doublers are Arsenal, Newcastle, Brighton, and Chelsea.
Love it.
Okay?
Love it.
So
that's a free hit right there.
If you wanted to do that, you could, depending on what everything for your strategy depends on, first, did you wild card already?
Yeah.
You already did.
Yeah, I had to.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a lot of trouble.
Dave already did. I would be really curious to hear what he would say about what he would do as far as his what his strategy is going
Free hitting.
into.
I guarantee you he hasn't prepared. He's free hitting.
Now, what really messes it up is first of all, the other teams that could double in game week 33, which we'll know all of this. You'll know even that even it's possible. Ben Crellin was even saying today that there's a possibility that City and Palace may not blank in game week 31. The low chance, but it's still possible. But either way, that would shake things up for people for sure for game week 31 strategy.
Interesting.
But game week 33, the possibility of City having a double that week, which is in there, Palace having a double game week in there,
Kind of only
Liverpool having a double in that game week, and then Burnley, which matters exactly 0. And then some of the peripheral teams that are obviously affected by Newcastle, by Leeds is playing Wolves and Bournemouth. They have that's the potential for Leeds to double as well, Everton to double, West Ham to double. But right now, the highest likelihood, and the teams that I think you would be, if you were going to just do it based on likeliest percentages, it would be Arsenal, Newcastle, Brighton, and Chelsea. So those are, that's four, definitely 2 teams that would be impacted. You would we've said Gabriel's owned by just about everybody. Joao Pedro is probably getting up there to be
gotta be now
selected by just about everybody. So those are 2 kind of locks already in the double game week 33 team. But either way, like piling all of that on and piling into some of those fixtures, game week 34 is all of those teams that double will blank in game week 34. So right now, like it's extremely likely then that Arsenal, Newcastle, Brighton, Chelsea, they're if you pile in on all of those teams, they're blanking in game week 34. Here's what I think my mentality almost every time I've played this, almost every year, is the same as everyone else. Like players playing twice is better than players playing once.
That's profound.
Get as many of those. So, and we had this argument a long time ago with the previous host of the podcast, who always thought, shout out to Scout for always challenging us to believe that double game weeks were overrated. Sometimes that happened, for sure.
Because they didn't always play.
There were some seasons where you have expectations. You say, oh, they're playing twice, and then someone misses out one of the 2 games, or even if they get benched for one of the 2 games or whatever. Either way, I am closer to feeling like this double game week prep going into game week 33 actually really is kind of an overrated double game week. Here's why. First of all, if the Arsenal double would be at Manchester City and home to Newcastle.
Yeah, not target fixtures by any stretch. Fixtures they could easily lose or tie.
Right. I see both of those and I'm like, I don't know.
You're going to concede because your primary assets are defensive. The likelihood that they concede is relatively high.
Right. Like, I don't know that if I had the choice to, like, I know Gabriel's got great goal threat. You'd be an insane person to say that he doesn't. But, like, it's not ideal. Neither of those games are ideal for the Arsenal defense.
Yeah.
Then Newcastle is home to Bournemouth at Arsenal. Bournemouth, so far this season, Bournemouth has been terrible in road games, but Bournemouth is a competent team. And then Newcastle at Arsenal. Not good. It's been the worst fixture of the season for anybody. Brighton. So already it's Brighton. So that you're capped on just the fact of the team. Who exactly are you rushing to go get? Matoma? Right. Are you rushing to get Danny Welbeck for his maximum of 95 minutes
Maybe.
in that.
Maybe.
Right. I have Verbruggen. I'm not like, what am I going to do with Verbruggen? They're at Spurs and home Chelsea.
Again.
Right. Spurs,
Fine, but not great.
an absolute dumpster fire.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's good for the attackers, and then they're home to Chelsea. I guess that's okay. But like, are you really pumped to have 3 Brighton guys?
No.
Right.
No. In what 3? That's the other part. It's
Exactly.
What 3? Even
And
if
then,
you could, it would be impossible.
And then
to
the
pick.
one that you probably, if you were going to pick one to really hit hard, it would be Chelsea, because they're home to Manchester United and then they're at Brighton. So the Chelsea players, I can see that. But you already, most people who are active playing right now have gone back to João Pedro. Palmer, do you go for Palmer? Hope that he starts both. He's probably not going to play.
Yeah.
He's not going to play 90 minutes, you would guess, in both games.
Yeah.
But either way, like, there are at least some options. At least with Chelsea, you're like, okay, home against Manchester United, I'll take that. That feels like a good attackers game. And then at Brighton's tough, plays a spirited game, but you'd still be like, yeah, I think that's still yes. But that's it. So what are you wild carding into that? I'm really hesitant now, because I've been saving the wild card, thinking like, all right, wild card game week 32 with anticipation of bench boosting going into 33. I don't know. There is another double game week, likely double game week in 36, where Manchester City and Crystal Palace will get a double.
Either of those don't really.
Right.
Like, what difference does that make?
Right. And at that point, it's game week 36. City will have, by then, they'll have crashed out of the title race.
No, they will have clinched it.
Right. They already lost the title, and so it'll just be mathematically eliminated by then.
Yeah, I just don't think that you're gonna live. I just don't think that you're gonna do anything with that wild card. You're gonna target fixtures, not any kind of mathematical advantage like a double game week at that point. Which, as we know, generally fixtures tend to be too good to be true.
Right.
Most of the time.
Yeah, ask
targeting
Liverpool
like that,
versus
right?
Wolves,
Right.
which is exactly why going into even this game week 30, if you're talking about Liverpool, I mean, the discourse is off the charts about Liverpool assets.
They should smash them, but it's going to be tight. It's got to be. It's too good to be true.
Spurs cannot possibly play as poorly as they did.
Any other team, I might agree with you, but I don't know, man. Spurs just.
Now, this did just happen not too long ago, where Spurs were fielding maybe the worst team that they have thrown out in forever against Manchester City.
Nobody's business, too.
Right.
And the guys that are out there don't look like they want to be out there. That's the bigger issue.
They need this guy.
Never heard of him.
They need a.
It's
that over there for Dave.
Gyökeres.
Topps flagship trading cards out now, folks. Go get them.
This segment brought to you by Brian's card addiction.
No, but I think I would like to that. So all of that to say, before we talk about this actual game week strategy, if you find out that more of those, like, depending on how the doubles shake out, if you find out, like, hey, Crystal Palace gets a double in game week 33, one of those games is home to West Ham, the other one is at Liverpool or Manchester City.
Neither of those is good, though. I don't like the West Ham matchup.
It's true, and that's why this week, even Manchester City playing against West Ham, I think on paper, it's exactly what you want to see. Yeah, however, in recent form, there is, like, I don't know about that. But I do like that you could get Ismail Assar in that game, in that double game week.
Performed great this week.
Crystal Palace, if it turned out to be a Crystal Palace at Liverpool, that's like them all of a sudden.
Team.
Exactly.
Yeah, they ignite
right
against Liverpool,
so,
for sure.
totally different. Manchester City, if that double ends up working out, would be home against Arsenal and then either at Burnley or home to Crystal Palace. So a double game week that includes Manchester City, even if one of those games is against Arsenal, a game that they need to win, that opens it up a little bit. I'm saying a lot of this stuff still has to be decided. So we are still at least a week away.
A lot of conjecture.
We're a week away
that's where we get to 2 weeks in neutral, because ultimately we need to see it play out.
Right.
A lot of things need to fall into place, and we kind of just need to chill and not overreact.
I just want to say ahead of time, if it shakes out with just the likeliest double game weekers doubling in game week 33, which is Arsenal, Newcastle, Brighton, and Chelsea. If that happens, then yes, that is a wildly underwhelming double game week. And loading up on those teams feels even worse if you then are free hitting in game week 34 because you've already wild carded into those players.
So why not free hit in 33 and wild card later?
Because if the blank is
or even
I
better,
guess it depends on how. Yes, so if you're set up,
why not free hit in 31 and just go for broke on.
You could and it depends on, again, if you are like full, if you still have 6 City and Arsenal players, and you have Munoz or something like that, like depending on how full you are of these other guys,
you could get real dirty real fast.
You might have to. So I'm not saying it's impossible. I just think the fixtures in game week 31, you wouldn't want to have to. Newcastle is home to Sunderland. I guess that's okay. But what are you doing? Getting Harvey Barnes in your team?
Honestly, why not? I mean, the guy's on fire.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's catching some new fire, which is great.
Is it a bait? Are you trying to you want to talk about him?
Yeah, but I will tell you that was not my transfer this week. Fulham gets Burnley that week.
Okay.
It's fine.
Who are you going to bring in?
That's the thing. If you have Harry Wilson already, okay. Iwobi, that was disappointing last week.
A lot of
Raul
people
Jimenez,
moved
right?
Raul.
So Chelsea's at Everton in 31. I guess that's okay.
But the way Everton's playing, I don't know.
Bournemouth gets Manchester United at home. Bournemouth at home has been so good as an XG team.
Yeah.
So you might temper your Manchester United expectations in that game. Like, there's just a lot. Like, and now if Wolves are going to start learning how to play again, which they're not playing at 31, but like if Wolves are going to shake things up, now all the bottom 3 are like
capable.
They're smelling Tottenham blood and saying like, all we got to do is catch Spurs. Whoever can catch Spurs first, advantage of staying up.
Yeah, and I don't think it's just going to be one team. There's a possibility that multiple teams are going to catch them.
Yeah. Not
that it's going to matter from a relegation standpoint, but I would not be surprised if there are multiple teams that are able to achieve a point total beyond what Tottenham has right now. So
I think that people are right. I think the people who have been able to save transfers, the people who have been able to, like, if you're able to roll, if you've already decided that you're rolling, I probably should have rolled. My sell was, like I said, was Morgan Rogers.
Yeah.
Let's move this to what you actually are doing this game week.
Yeah.
Travis, tell the folks at home why you are expecting a letdown from your Liverpool United. Why are you expecting Liverpool Football Club to have a letdown?
I just don't think it's going to be.
Tottenham?
I don't think it's going to be a blowout. Tottenham and Liverpool have played some real classic matches. Tottenham definitely steps up against Liverpool. There's been plenty of really, really good matches, classic matches between Liverpool and Tottenham. That said, there's also been plenty of matches where Liverpool has completely outclassed them. If Liverpool are fit enough, I think they'll be fine, and they should win it handily. The issue is that Liverpool is so schizophrenic, especially defensively, that you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And if they produce a performance like they produced against Galatasaray this week,
Right.
where they huffed and they puffed and they did absolutely freaking nothing, Tottenham are going to punish them. Richarlison's going to punish them.
Yeah.
Like legitimately, it's going to be like the most ridiculous things are going to they're going to get goals handed to them. Mamardashvili looked pretty good.
Yeah, that's
Alisson's
still what I was going to say. If Alisson, he did not train, is the expectation that Alisson is out?
I think so. I think
Okay.
there's a hope that he will be able to play, but it is very, very unlikely. So I would not count on that. That said, the primary difference between the two is distribution. It's distribution.
Okay.
Alisson has a very, very good track record of finding the fullback out on the touchline, over the top of the press, whereas Mamardashvili doesn't have the same accuracy, and so he tends to boot the ball and rely on the 9 to come back and hold it up, which is fine. But we just played in Europe over the weekend and had to travel. This past week and had to travel, and
At least
the amount of minutes that Ekitike has played is definitely adding up.
At least they allowed Salah to freshen up his plugs while he was in Turkey.
I don't think that's what he was doing.
Okay.
If anything, he was a touch closer to the Saudi representatives that are
Okay.
discussing a contract for the summer. No, I just think, again, it's one of those things where it's too good to be true. Tottenham's in a super, super, super low. Liverpool's looking to bounce back. It's unlikely to be as big of a blowout as what's being
Okay, so
pushed.
first of all, just to speak to the injuries, Spurs now up to
Oh,
13 first teamers injured again.
That's a
adding
factor for sure.
Van de Ven, who's still suspended, now partnered with Christian Romero, who destroyed Joao Polina's head. It looked terrible.
Yeah.
Polina certainly was the worse off of the two. Both of them unavailable. Conor Gallagher was sick, so even maybe a little bit of life that they could have in the midfield may or may not be fully fit because of illness. They are down so many players already. We don't even need to go through the other ones. But here's the other part of that. So Ekitike for sure playing a lot of minutes. We already kind of talked about that.
No
One of the
alternative.
things that I've seen, one of the common Holland out narratives is, he just played in the Champions League, and they have the second leg is next week. Do you really expect much out of him for West Ham? And then we'll immediately say, we'll immediately give Ekitike as a replacement.
Same problem.
And that's exactly it. Why is it
problem.
not the same exact problem
Yeah.
especially when Liverpool are in a much better situation going into the second leg than
Yeah.
Manchester City are?
Yeah, I mean, I would much rather be playing Galatasaray than Real Madrid right now, for sure. And again, scoreline is lopsided for City as well. I don't know. I don't think it's a matter of, for me, it's not Holland versus Ekitike. I mean, I did this just this past week, move from Holland to Ekitike, like
Okay.
the rest of the masses.
Yeah.
In order to make some other moves. And yeah, I was above average, but I'm still getting red arrows.
Right.
So as far as I'm concerned, I don't know that I'm qualified to speak to that. But I agree with you. I think that Ekitike and Holland are in a similar situation in terms of fixture stack up. Ekitike has proven more so than Holland even that he's worn out. He's not used to this much this often. The intensity of the Premier League he can handle when he's fresh. When he's not fresh, he just doesn't have the same edge the same bite that he had that he has when he doesn't have a bunch of minutes in his legs, and there isn't anybody to relieve him. Cody Gakpo is not a striker. As often as he plays up at the top in the 9, he is not a 9, and that is unfortunate. And that experiment just keeps happening and it keeps failing. And so I just don't see a world where Ekitike does anything. And honestly,
I think there was a slowed down, or there was the video of Gakpo's foot getting in there at the end of the Wolves game where he actually cleared the ball. I guess it was one
basically
of your better
off the
end
line
chances. Yeah.
It just I don't.
That had to be frustrating. I just wanted
Yeah,
you to,
I like the guy.
You to relive it.
I like the guy.
I
want him to do well, but he is really, really struggling, and it just seems like Slot is trying to play him, into form, and it's just not working.
Yeah,
it's just not working. And so he's pulling Salah when Salah's not performing. He's got to pull Gakpo too. And so, anyways, we're not talking about that. Maybe we can, because you mentioned earlier.
I'm only saying
somebody's got him in the team of the week people you should target.
Fantasy Scout has Gakpo as one of their options in the Fantasy Scout team of the week.
And maybe they're expecting him to play in the 9, and maybe he bundles something in, maybe against the Tottenham side. Sure, I wouldn't bet against it, but at the same time, I wouldn't bet for it.
Yeah. I should say, too, this is your one chance to say whether or not Mo Salah is even a minor consideration for you.
If he's like, 9-0, maybe, but he's not.
Yeah. Almost felt like he was going to at least salvage something for you last week. Scores again in the game. And this is one of the first times in a really, really long time that Mo Salah is on the first page of midfielder transfers in. He is actually 30th. So he is last of the first page of midfielders for transfers in. 14,000.
Depends on the size of your monitor.
People. Yeah. Yes. I'm scrolling down quite a ways. But he is the 30th most transferred in midfielder for the game week, and that sounds about right.
Yeah.
No, I think this week, this was if anyone saw the Champions League, if anyone saw that absolute debacle that Tottenham put on display against Atletico Madrid, that game
that got away from them very quickly.
It was so sad and embarrassing and
unfortunate for their goalkeeper.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't want to see that. You don't want that, especially on his debut. That's just rough.
Yeah, it was terrible all around. Then you actually do add injury to the insult of the game. Vicario slightly better, I guess, than Kinski in that game, but still conceded conceded 2 by the end of the game. And just not good at all. Maybe it was, and you can't even the competition. It's still like good players. Madrid, they're not they're not doing necessarily great this season, but whatever. It's a little bit different than what happened to Chelsea, because Chelsea ends up losing by the same scoreline. I think that Spurs did.
Yeah,
I think it was 5-2. I'm pretty sure,
right.
But I think it feels different because that was PSG, and I think the expectation is, it's PSG who can possibly bounce back by the end of this and win the whole thing again. So, but anyway, I think just as the narratives were kind of flowing, it was like, oh my gosh, load up, get your our Liverpool players in as fast as possible, because this Spurs team is dismal. And I think last week you had kind of the same thing where it was like, hey, it's bottom of the league Wolves. Yeah, sure, they're finding a little bit of form, but it's still Liverpool. They can't lose to Wolves, right? And they sure did. So
they can.
Anyway,
very much so, they can.
I just wanted to throw that out there as you're approaching the strategy even this week. I know Haaland is one of the most transferred out. Ekitike, one of the obvious most transferred in. And I I don't know, City at West Ham? Are you buying the dip in their form? Plus, West Ham's been better, and City have the second leg of their, a probably impossible mountain to climb to get back in the second
not
leg.
Possible. I just don't see that happening.
Right. So, and they do have someone who can, unlike Liverpool, they do have, Marmoush has filled in really well for them. Semenyo is essentially playing in that spot anywhere, playing up he's their real striker right now. But I don't see how it's all that different, like you said, for Ekitike's minutes in his legs. They need him more for their game coming up. I can't imagine that they're going to play him 90 minutes against Spurs.
If they can avoid it, absolutely. But at the end of the day, the league is gone. They need to stay as high up as they can. But it really just comes down to making a good run in the Champions League is a big deal.
Also, I would say this: Spurs are missing all of their players, but that's known. West Ham is missing Crescencio Somerville for this match. That, to me, is a huge miss.
Their form player.
Who has been one of their best players, definitely, for the season. And I'm not saying that's like, oh, man, he's not a defender. I understand that. But how
it changes the game.
That is a completely different dynamic in the team when you lose somebody who is that electric. And has been so essential to them being so good here lately. So just want to say that.
They're missing a lot in the midfield with Paqueta being gone. Obviously, Fernandez has come in and done a very good job.
Yep.
But from a transition has been an issue for them. And so having Somerville, who has the wheels to get him out of pressure and give them a breather and get them higher up the pitch has been absolutely instrumental in them being able to turn their form around. And so not having that and is going to put a lot more pressure on their midfield to get them out of pressure and transition. And I'm not sure they can do that without him.
Last thing on your team, any of the other midfielders, is there any priority for you? Everybody buying Szoboszlai again, which I don't know, man. I still am not. I could never bring myself to actually click the button to do that. But Florian Wirtz back this week.
I think that's good. He looked okay in midweek in Champions League, but not great.
FPL
I love the way the guy
FPL
moves.
managers also not really buying it because he's way down there. He's probably in the 20s as far as transfers in for the game week.
I don't know that Wirtz is going to be viable this season at all. Even if he goes on a decent run, I just think he needs to bed in more to be useful enough to own.
He had his run. He had a really good run there for a minute.
It was okay,
but not enough to save for the rest of the season.
Agree. I think his price goes down next year, and I think that his upside is much higher. I think the ship has sailed on Wirtz from an FPL standpoint. That said, Szoboszlai, I think, is still one to consider. So much so that I made my 5 transfers last week.
Heck?
That one, and he was one that I brought in.
Oh wow, okay.
Which was again fine.
He did get a 5 this
5
week, which is better than you can say for most of the midfielders that you probably would have been thinking about.
Right. So all that to say, I get your feelings of not being able to click the button. However, I've overcome those feelings, and I do think that there is there's something there. He's
going to score a brace of the most incredible free kicks you've ever seen this week.
I think there's something there.
There are lots of other players we could talk about, but just in terms of the overall movement for the game week, the top transfers in Kevin Kelleher from Brentford. That's the Burnley effect, I believe.
Yeah.
I think that's no, sorry, they play Wolves at home. They are not Burnley,
but still.
And
then same idea.
And then a decent run for the next 4 for Brentford. I don't trust them. This week was to me at Bournemouth. They should have conceded. Marcus Tavernier should have had 3 goals against Brentford, and somehow the game ends 0-0. Definitely much better for Bournemouth than it was for Brentford. I'm saying that because Kelleher is the top transfer in for goalkeepers this week, and they are about to play the best that Wolves have been playing all season. They're about to play that Wolves team at home. That is not as green as it was even a month ago. Then they're at Leeds. Like I said, they are the chaos agent of the season. Home to Everton, that's better, and then home to Fulham. But either way, it looks green and gray, and it's, I don't know, just an unconvincing Brentford defense already. And I think everyone's seeing the matchup against Wolves and are like, I got to get that guy. Whatever. Senesi, kind of the runaway top transfer in for defenders. That is the Burnley effect. They kept a clean sheet last week. He's gone 5-4-11 in the last 3. I mean, that's a clean sheet, which is his 5 against West Ham. So you hate that. No one wants to get a 5 out of a clean sheet. Get some defensive contributions for his 4 against Sunderland 2 weeks ago, and then last week the clean sheet and all the bonus and DEFCON goes for an 11. So Senesi back on everybody's radar as they're about to go play at Burnley. My transfer was from the team of the top transferred in midfielder, Elliot Anderson. But it was not Elliot Anderson.
Gibbs White.
My transfer in this week was Morgan Gibbs White. Yes.
Okay.
I understand both. The Nottingham Forest, the top 4 transfers in, really the top 5 all make perfect sense to me for midfielders. Elliot Anderson, Bruno, Semenyo, Gibbs White, Szoboszlai. That's your top 5 for midfielder transfers in. All 5 of those make sense to me. Elliot Anderson was good last week. Bruno and Semenyo
generally just
shocking
all the time.
that anyone can make them the top transfer in, whatever.
Yeah.
And then Gibbs White in 4th. Szoboszlai trailing. The reason why I went with Gibbs White, last 5 game weeks, I love arbitrary game
Time
week
frames.
markers.
Yeah.
Your top shooters in the midfield, among midfielders, last 5 game
five
weeks.
game weeks.
Cole Palmer, Morgan Gibbs White, Elliot Anderson. 15 shots, tied for most
All right.
of any midfielder. 8 shots on target for Cole Palmer. You love that. 6 shots on target for Gibbs White. That's the second most. 3 shots on target for Elliot Anderson. That's less. I get it that he scored a goal last week. Totally fine. 16 chances created in the last 5 games for Morgan Gibbs White. Only Bruno Fernandes has more in the last 5 games. And then just in general, Morgan Gibbs White is the penalty taker. That's the first thing for Nottingham Forest for him. Morgan Gibbs White, XG of 1.93.
They haven't won a single one of those games either.
And Elliot Anderson,
Those 5.
0.55 XG.
What?
The big one for me is just that the expected fantasy points here in the last 5 games. So in real points, Elliot Anderson in the last 5 games has 27 points. Morgan Gibbs White has 24. Their expected points are exactly flip-flopped.
That's weird.
Elliot Anderson's expected fantasy points in the last 5 games is 19.71, and he has scored 27. Gibbs White's is 27, and he's scored 24. So, to me, they're playing essentially the same minutes. I understand that Elliot Anderson is defensive contribution guy, but I'm saying even with that, and even with a freak goal for him, he still has only outscored Morgan Gibbs White by 3 in the last 5 games. And he's not the penalty taker. And Gibbs White has created more chances than Elliot Anderson, who does take set pieces. So I have wanted to get Gibbs White in. There have been times where I've wanted to at least mention
It was the
him.
backheel goal, though, wasn't it? That was the thing. That was a straw that broke the camel's back.
I mean, that was awesome.
That was kind of... kind of like one of the craziest things I've seen in the game in a long time.
It was extremely good. That is not the reason why I wanted to get him in, but really was more about just when I saw the stats from the last 5 games, all stats brought to you by fantasyfootballfix.com. Fantasy Fix stats on Morgan Gibbs White, I was shocked to see him that high in terms of just volume. And then Nottingham Forest, home to Fulham this week, at Spurs next week, home to Aston Villa the week after that, home to Burnley in 33. Their next 4, get either guy. I don't care. Both totally understand why you would get
a couple tough ones in just the way Fulham's been playing. Villa can be tough too, but other than that, I agree with you. I think they've got a good lineup. So
yeah. And then the obvious, number 1 transfer in overall is Joao Pedro. Makes complete and total sense. Ekitike trailing him by 250,000 transfers in.
That's it?
Yeah. Pedro, 400,000 transfers in. Ekitike, 150,000. Third place, Igor Thiago, back on everybody's interest again, despite blanking against Bournemouth. Brentford, again, we said, as much as I don't love their defense and don't feel the need to get Kelleher as my goalkeeper for the next 4, home to Wolves, at Leeds, home Everton, home Fulham is extremely good for Brentford attack. Yeah. This is where if Kevin Shada is the guy that I wish I could have fit in there.
Thiago,
somewhere too.
When you wild card in 31, you'll be ready for it.
Yeah. Transfers out also make a lot of sense to me. Robin Roof's number 1 goalkeeper transfer out. Really nobody moving on their goalkeepers other than that. He's not done. Just a thigh injury. Manager is already saying, though, it's more about Newcastle. So he's definitely out this week. And the hope can be ready by Newcastle in 2 weeks. Mickey Van de Ven, did you look? Mm-mm. Did you look at what Van de Ven's selection percentage is? What do you think it is?
31.
No, why would you get so high?
Because you said something. You're asking me.
His
so
percentage,
be
his selection
ridiculous.
Percentage is 20. It's 20%. Do you know the last time?
That's kind of impressive that it's as high as that. I only guessed 30 because I assumed it was going to be some ridiculous number.
The last time Mickey Van de Ven was a viable option was game week 18.
Yeah, I was going to say the game week 7.
It has been a really, really long time.
I started the year with him.
Totally. I definitely had him at one point. It is shocking to see him that high. The top 3 transfers out for defenders are all injured. Matty Cash, yellow triangle, which I don't know how serious his injury is, but whatever. And then Mukiele, who we've already said is
that like cruel irony since he's the one usually injuring other people?
Yes, it is a bit. I don't wish harm on the man, but
he's pretty good at injuring people.
Morgan Rogers, the runaway most transferred out for.
So you're holding him
transferred out for players
just to be contrarian.
And here's why I was not so interested in getting rid of him. First of all, they're at Manchester United. That is not. It's red. They have it as red. It's a red. Look at it. You can see it.
Would you look at it?
It's a red rated matchup at Manchester United. That is an awful rating. It should be at least gray. Then Villa plays home to West Ham, at Nottingham Forest, home Sunderland, at Fulham. There's nothing about the schedule that I look at that I'm like, oh man, I gotta get rid of those Villa guys. It's just their form overall has dipped. Morgan Rogers has gone 4 weeks with nothing, and again,
a lot of huffing and puffing, but no points. Yeah,
Morgan Rogers. Last 5 games. So in this run of games where he has one really good performance and then a bunch of nothing, 14 shots for Morgan Rogers, second most among midfielders. 5 shots on target. That's the third most of any midfielder. He still is there. He's still 6 chances created. Not a lot, but it's still something.
Enough.
He's in the top 5 for touches in the opposition box. It's just like this is the experience of owning him. He did this at least once before this season. It was the 10-pointer that he had.
25.
Yeah. So that 10-pointer he had dropped by 200,000 managers going into that 10-pointer. Then they go on a run of really good fixtures where he does nothing.
They're like, yeah.
So I know he was scheduled to drop again tonight. I did not refresh since the last time I was looking at it. Did he drop to 7.4? That was what he should have been at. If
Sure he is.
he didn't. I should have just held him. Why didn't I just hold? He was at as the peak of ready to drop again. If I had lost another 10th, I would have probably screamed, and I would not have if I had held on to him. I think it's not a terrible guy
he
to
hasn't
hold.
hit the threshold yet. He might hit it tomorrow, but he has not hit it yet today.
So dumb.
He still needs another 3%.
I probably should have just held him. That could be. That will lead my smart stupid.
6%, not 3%. Yikes.
And then, yeah, I thought I might have guessed that Holland would be the most transferred out forward or player, but he's not. 200,000 transfers out for Erling Haaland, which does not seem, honestly, like all that many. He still is over 60% selected. And again, in a matchup that I think is good, you'll just be really disappointed, I think, if you wake up and wait, when do they play? They don't, not when you wake up. They play the later game tomorrow. So yeah. If he's not in the starting lineup, I'm sure you'll probably find that out by
3 o'clock
lunchtime
match, so
tomorrow.
get it well before that.
Anyway, I think the strategy this week, it's been pretty clear. I mean, who people are moving toward and why. It makes sense. Feels like the kind of moves you're making, with a lot of wild cards yet to play kind of on the horizon here in the next couple weeks, like we said. But anyway, I just felt like we needed to throw
Break it
some of
down.
these things out of there. You did make a move already?
I'm not making a move this week.
Move.
I'm all moved out. 5 last week was more than
Set
enough.
yourself up enough.
I'm fine.
What are your captains on Ekatike?
Who's my captain on? My captain is on Ekatike currently.
Okay.
It's currently on Ekatike, and I moved it because I was running Semenyo up until a little bit ago. After all that posturing about too good to be true, I just don't know that the Tottenham defense can hold it together. Even if Liverpool plays badly, I just think they're going to be enough to do something.
Okay. Yeah, this week's captaincy is all over the place. I think you could go 7 different directions.
Oh, 7. Only 7?
8 different directions. You could go
Okay.
a lot of different directions with captaincy this week, I think.
Where are you going?
Like I
Holland.
said, my one move, I did make my one transfer. I now am mostly regretting doing that because I don't think I needed to. I probably should have just held off. But my move was to send Morgan Rogers out to bring in Morgan Gibbs-White.
I still can't believe you did that transfer instead of getting rid of Dorgu.
Well, I had enough money to move to someone else. I think it's just I didn't. There wasn't anything that I was like, I got to go get that guy. I've got to bring in that
You
defender.
didn't have to go get Daniel Munoz or
No,
Senesi. You already
because
own
Munoz is injured.
him. Oh, is
Was
he?
injured, so there's the
course he is.
chance the chance that he
And he's
they're
blanking.
hoping
so,
that he's
yeah.
fit, and then also
Yeah, that's a
blanking
good
week
point.
31.
Not Senesi?
No, that probably would have made.
I mean,
like
you'd rather have Senesi than Dorgu.
That's the boring move. I think it's because I already had. It would have been somebody that would have James Hill. Bournemouth James Hill would have been.
Which you've talked up.
which I should have done
Regularly.
that should have already happened.
Should have happened
I
like
just
6 weeks
should
ago.
have happened a long time ago
When you first talked
but
about
it did not. And I keep moving players who don't necessally need
You'll
to
get
be
it taken
moved.
care of in your wild card. It's just when are you going to get to that?
Right. That's going to be in a couple weeks. And right now captain is on Holland. I've seen a ton
maybe.
of people talking about Bruno Fernandes as a captain option just because Villa has been so slumpy and Bruno's been so
Good at home, especially.
good at home, and that Bruno is just crushing right now. Would have been an excellent captain last week. Honestly, Semenyo, Semenyo's tempting. Thiago's home to Wolves. In a way, there's part of me that just thinks this, like, I don't know, the Wolves are all of a sudden good. Brentford is at home, and that is better for
Wolves
them.
is all of a sudden not just in total despair. I think that's the best way to say it. They're capable of not floundering.
The big one, going away from João Pedro for anything right this second, seems like insanity. He has had a 2. So he had a 2 against Arsenal. Other than that, since game week 22, it is 8, 12, 10, 8, 10, 7, 2, 19. He has mostly double-digit returns since game week 22. That is a long...
Do you own him?
I do own him. And home to Newcastle is no big deal.
It's going to be fine.
Yes.
It's going to be fine. I'm not overly concerned about that either. That's good.
So I am not at all... I think, honestly, it may be the peak of FPL madness to not captain a guy who is just not doing anything wrong. You could say the exact same thing though. Since game week 22, Bruno Fernandes 10, 5, 10, 10, 2, 2, 13, 8. Again, that's a lot of double-digit returns since game week 22. Feels like you could flip a coin on those two guys and make either one vice captain and regular captain, and you will be just fine this week. So, not a bad time to go away from Holland captain. Not a bad time to go away from a Liverpool captain. There are and all the Liverpool guys are good options. So, regardless of which guy you bring in, this Spurs team, I don't know, man, they're bad. So, anyway, that's it. Not bad. Kind of a boring game week.
Terrible. And especially boring because we didn't hear anything about any middle school girls basketball, which is, what I think most people come to listen for. So
yeah, that's true. We will get a big update on that next time that we record, which should be at a more normal time next week, going into the first eventful thing that has happened since the Arsenal double game week, actual blank game week 31. Do you have anything else?
No.
I genuinely do not have anything else.
Excellent.
For the FPL America podcast, this is Travis Hoig. This is Brian Shesko.
Until next time.
Until next time.